by saying first and foremost that I know zero about football.
That's
Zero.
okay.
Like I don't know anything. I know there's a ball that needs to be kicked, and that's it. Well, I mean, all right. I just, I'm a little nervous. I'll admit because you are the
No,
first
no need to be
celebrity that
nervous.
I get to interview. So the fact that you accepted my
Oh,
invitation
no.
is just an honor.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Elena, our mutual friend, had mentioned it. So, I'll accept a lot quicker if there's somebody I know that I trust that's suggesting somebody than if somebody just comes out of the blue. So, but I
Awesome.
was like, yeah, we'll do it. I wasn't even sure what it was about, but I knew that we would connect and just talk about what your lives are about and stuff like that. So here we
Yeah,
are.
so I'll tell you a little bit about me before I get started so you know who's interviewing you. I literally started TikTok a year ago. I have a background, I've been working for the financial industry for all my life. And then
Right.
I kind of wanted to get out of corporate and
Mhm.
started on TikTok. I do have my own business. I make soaps and skincare products, but I really enjoy connecting with people. I love to
Mhm.
build communities. Our community has grown substantially because of these interviews. Oh my God,
Right.
my nerves. Because every time I interview people, it's to me it's a win-win, right? People that probably don't know you are going to get to know you, so my community
Right.
gets to know you, and then people that are coming from your community are going to get to know us. So to me,
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win situation.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy these. I do these every Wednesday because I do have other things that I do on TikTok. And I don't know if you had the opportunity to see the questions before because I did send them to you and it was kind of
Yeah.
like a short notice. And lastly, I just wanted to ask you, I do ask everyone, do I have permission to upload it on my YouTube channel? My YouTube channel is very small. I am not popular. I have
No.
like 100 subscribers. That's about it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, you have my permission.
yay!
Absolutely.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Yay! So, um, for the icebreaker questions here, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what song would be your walkout anthem today if you were in that capacity?
It would be Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. There's so many songs I thought of, but so I guess that's the one today that came to mind. So that would be the answer.
Sweet, I like that. So that's awesome. And so let's see. And I asked this question to my previous guest. If you were to describe yourself in emojis, what are your three emojis that you describe yourself?
Oh my gosh. Um, I think there's one, and I don't know the exact like what the emotion is of it, but I think it's kind of like maybe like slightly blushing. It's just kind of like a smiley face and a little bit of a squint, but I think that's the one I use probably the most. Um,
Yeah.
I also use, I mean, I also use the prayer hands and the cross. Those are two and three, but I would say, a lot of times I'll use the bicep one, like the flex, just
Yes.
because, I mean, it's just to show strength or power to support somebody in whatever message you're carrying. If it's something that I like, I'll send that emoji. But that emoji probably describes me, not because I have a lot of muscle, just because I feel like I've gone
Oh, I
through it.
mean, based on your Sports Illustrated picture that I saw, yeah, of course you do. I mean, you still look like you do. So, um, so, oh my goodness. All right, so I'm just nervous. This is not like my forte because I really don't know much about football. So,
It's
but,
okay.
um,
It's
let's see. What's the first thing that pops into your head when you hear 1990s weight room?
oh, I mean, it was a different. It's like every decade almost seems to have like a certain generation of weightlifters or bodybuilders, and powerlifters are powerlifters, right? I mean, they're always going for the power, but different styles of bodybuilding. Not that I was a bodybuilder, but I was a football player, and in the 80s and 90s, speaking of the 90s, I mean, there was a lot of performance enhancing drugs use like that was common, and that gets associated with with my name a lot because I did do those in college and admitted to those in a book in 2009 for the first time publicly, and that was like 10 years after I retired. So, and the reason I did that was because if because I condone it, right? Now I condone it. So if it could help anybody get a perspective on it, they can see both sides of it.
I
Like, was it
love
worth it in the long run? No.
Right. I love that because I've been to two of your lives and I see that you're it's deep, what you talk about,
Yeah.
and we are going to get into that too. So, football flashback, the biggest myth about being a top five draft pick.
The biggest myth?
Yes.
Um, um, that's a good question. I mean, there's, there's a lot of pressure on the top five pick to immediately become like a Pro Bowl player and have almost, in some people's eyes, a Hall of Fame career. And then if you don't have that, you'll be called a bust, right? Mostly by the fans. Um, the thing is, the perspective that they have to have is, if you look at the top five picks of every draft, say in the last 50 years, and see how many are in the Hall of Fame versus how many even made a Pro Bowl versus the rest, and the majority will be never in the Hall of Fame and never made a Pro Bowl, and they'll be considered in some people's eyes a bust. I think I think because of the Sports Illustrated cover in 1989 and a lot of marketing that we did, I think that people like to take jabs, and I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't ask those people for advice, so
Yeah.
their opinions don't affect me at all. Um, so the one thing also with my draft was, out of those top five picks, and I was the second pick, the other four are in the Hall of Fame. So that even exacerbates it even more.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a myth, but that's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the hardest. Oh, wait. Before I ask you this question, somebody did put in the chat. Pinky Dinky is asking, have you ever wrestled?
Oh, they probably are asking if I ever wrestled like WWE. I mean, I wrestled in high school, but after I retired in '99, I considered it for about a hot minute, but I retired because of injury, a shoulder injury. So,
Right.
and then I did a little bit of research and saw how many, like they were on the road 225 days a year, and I was like, I don't want to be on the road that much. So it was a quick decision not to do it, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. That must be tough. No, I could imagine, especially if, yeah,
Right?
the fact that you're on the road, or I don't know if at the time did you have a family, wife, kids.
Yeah, yeah, I did. But again, you have to perform at that level,
Yeah,
225 times a year,
that's
and
tough.
the reason I retired was because of an injury.
Yeah.
So now to go into another sport with an injury that is going to probably get worse,
Yeah,
um, I don't think it was the right decision.
for sure. Um, I mean, these questions are very interesting. I've sent them to you. You didn't say no to anyone, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna just. And if obviously, if I ask a question that makes you uncomfortable, just say pass.
No,
No pun intended, right? I
no,
think
I
in
will.
football you use the word pass, right? But I don't know. Anyway,
Right.
one locker room ritual you secretly miss.
Just the camaraderie, the camaraderie of a team, like binding together over a year or over a career, is I have not been able to replace that camaraderie. I've had camaraderie with certain things, but it was never like that. And I think part of it's because there's a big physical struggle because you're hitting each other in practice all the time, and then you're going in games and hitting other teams. Then you're weightlifting together, in the off season. You're running together in the off season. So you get to know people through adverse times of great demand from the club that you play for, and but finding that camaraderie, I mean, that's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
Finding that camaraderie is been like non-existent in the real world.
Do you still keep in touch with any of them?
I do. I do. There's a couple. There's more than a couple from Green Bay, and that was like
Yeah.
late '90s, late '80s, early '90s. And then I keep in touch with some of the guys from the Colts that I played, and that was like mid to late '90s. And then I also I keep in touch with some of the guys I played college football with.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and that was a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot. So there are questions in the chat. So I'm just going to scroll because
Sure.
I usually have them ask questions too. Nelson is coming in with
Thank you,
what
Kelly.
was your toughest so I guess who was your toughest opponent?
Reggie White, hands down, it was Reggie White from Philly, who later went on to play for Green Bay after I had been out of the league, and then I had come back with the Colts. I played against him when he was in Green Bay. I also played against him when he was with Green Bay. So
Nice.
thanks,
So
Kelly.
I'm gonna shift gears now, and we're gonna bring I guess, the conversation a little bit more serious. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
open to talking
I
about
thought
what was
I thought the conversation was serious.
it is serious, but I just don't know if this part of the conversation, yeah, you know where I'm going with this, so I don't know if this is something that you want to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about it. So when did you realize the scoreboard had to change from points to sobriety days? Talk to me a little bit about the recovery.
So I got sober March 23rd of 1995. So I was in Green Bay from '89 to '92. Had signed a 4-year deal. At the end of that 4-year deal in '92, Green Bay had no interest in re-signing me, and I wouldn't have either if I was them because I was a train wreck. And it was deep in my addiction with pills and with alcohol. And after they gave me the boot, 3 more years I was out of the league, and 3 more years my addiction kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I literally, like, I can't make it any simpler than this. One day I just got so sick and tired of my BS. I was like, I pointed the finger at everybody for about a 5 or 6 year period. Like, when things went sideways, I'd be like, it's my wife's fault. It's my kid's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's the media's fault. It's Green Bay's fault. It's everybody's fault but mine. And I got so sick and tired of that. Like, so, I mean, I remember literally looking in what I call nickname like the mirror of truth, right? Where there's no BS, looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what are you about? And I couldn't answer the question because I didn't know what I was about, and I didn't know what I would dig my heels in and fight for. I mean, I was so, foggy upstairs. And so
So
I
what
mean,
was your rock bottom? Like, what was the breaking
yeah.
point?
Well, it was. I mean, there were, oh man, dozens of situations and instances, but they just kept compounding over the years. And then there was a buddy of mine that 12, like they call it 12 stepping you. Basically, he talked to me. He said he was not in the 12 step program. It was a buddy talking to me, and he said, "Man, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, he's like you're going to get unalived, and by your own means, right?" And um, so I kind of sat back for a 24-hour period, and because he wanted to put me into a treatment center, or he suggested it strongly, and this is somebody I trusted.
Of course, yeah.
And I said, well, give me 24 hours to think about it, to contemplate whether I want to live or not. And um, and that's when I kind of consciously walked through the bathroom in my house and stood in front of the mirror and asked myself some hard questions. Um, and so that was kind of like the point when I started to look at the facts. Like, instead of how I perceived something, I started looking at facts.
Yeah.
And facts don't lie, right? And you know, there's only one truth. You know, people say, "Well, my truth," "Well, your truth." That's all BS. I mean, you have an opinion, which is fine. You have a way of looking at things, which is fine. But there's only one truth, the actual truth, right? And when I looked at that, it was kind of a wake up call. It was a Louisville Slugger coming across my head, and I was like, yeah, I next morning I called him and I said, yeah, I said I want to do this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm sick and tired of my BS.
Awesome. I just want to say that I didn't want to interrupt you because you were talking really like serious stuff. You already picked up the TikTok lingo. You actually said unalived.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh wow, he's already like picked up the TikTok lingo.
You're like, do I have to restart this live because you said something wrong?
Oh no, that's awesome because I mean, and we're gonna get into the whole TikTok, the purpose that you're here, and all that stuff. But keeping with the topic at hand, what's a recovery practice that you still do every single day?
Um, the first thing when I wake up, first thing I do is thank God that He woke me up, and second thing I do is I roll out of bed and hit my knees, and I've been doing that for over 30 years now, and
Yeah,
uh, I don't pray to a God of my understanding. I pray to the only God, which is Jesus Christ.
beautiful.
That's one of the things that gets, I don't know if I can say this word. I won't. I'll say it's one of the things that gets manipulated in 12 step. Because they talk about a God as they understand him. So I went to 12 step for 25 years, and I mean, I'm not going to say anything about 12, bad about 12 step. If people want to go, that's great. If it changes their life, that's great. It did for me for 25 years, which takes me to 2020. And when the world went sideways for about 18 months, 2 years, let's say, between 2020 and 2020, end of 2021, there were things that in the world, especially here in the U.S., that didn't make sense. And I'm not talking conspiracy. I'm talking right in front of me that didn't make sense. A plethora of things, and we don't need to go into detail about any of them. But
Yeah,
there were just certain truths that were being lied about and being pushed. And I was like, okay, it's either me, like either I've lost my mind and had too many concussions, or something evil is going on here.
yeah.
And that's when I got my nose back into the Gospels. I've always been a believer, um, but I really 5 years ago started really digging deep into the Gospels for the absolute truth, because that's where the truth is. That's where all truth is based from, is the Gospels.
Yeah,
So
that is so true. So I know also that you have I guess you started a photography business, and I don't know how long you've been a photographer. So I'm just curious to how did that come about? Was this after your recovery? Like
yeah,
talk to me about the business, the photography business.
yeah. So in 1989, when the photographer that was shooting that Sports Illustrated cover, when he showed me some of the Polaroids he took, because he was doing a test, like doing tests with Polaroids. You don't do that anymore because everything's digital, right? You just look at the
Yeah,
back of, 1 second later.
yeah,
Um, he showed me some pictures and he was like, we got to wait like 15 more minutes for the sun to get a little bit lower. And I was like, well, can I see the test shots that you took? And I was blown away. What my impression of what it was going to look like versus what it looked like was like a polar opposite. So that got me very interested. Now, went on and played for Green Bay, and then ended up getting sober, and then came back, played with Indianapolis for 3 years. So even though I still had an interest in photography, I didn't practice too much of it, just because your life is consumed with football. And so when I retired in '99, I became like what I would call a serious hobbyist for about 4 or 5 years. And then in 2005, I moved to Arizona, and I figured, I was told myself I'm going to figure out a way, to monetize this and make a living doing it. And that's what I did, and been down here 20 years now. So it's been awesome.
I'm just curious because as you know, these questions. I'll be honest. I generated them through ChatGPT based on the information that I know about you. So I'm curious
Hmm.
why. Um, 2 times I ran it, and it says that why camera instead of coaching or broadcasting. So like a podcast, like because you're a celebrity, right? So
Yeah.
just curious, why did you didn't take that angle?
Um, the broadcasting didn't interest me. I mean, I think it's interesting, but it just wasn't me. I mean,
Right.
Is you either like something or you don't. The
Right.
podcasting, I started a podcast in 2021, and I probably did like 7 or 8 episodes. But again, it never like I enjoyed, as you had mentioned at the beginning of this. I absolutely loved talking to people and getting to know them. Like I love that because people are interesting and everybody has a story. Just because it's not on the headlines doesn't mean you don't have a story. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got adversity. Everybody goes through pain. Everybody goes through tragedy. You're guaranteed to. And if you haven't, you live in a cave. Um, you know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And everybody's going to experience joy. So
Yeah.
these are meeting these people, and the focus of my podcast was kind of what did that person do to get over their adversity or to get through their adversity? And I think they were. I mean, the podcast. I enjoyed the stories more than I enjoyed doing the podcast, if that makes any sense. So I just kind of faded away from it, and really the only other thing that's gotten me excited about stuff like that we're doing now is TikTok. Um,
We're gonna get
I
that's coming next, guys. That's coming next.
right. I mean, I had an account that I created, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago, and put one post up and never logged back in. And and then my first time I logged back in was about 2 months ago. And I logged back in. I was like, I'm gonna check it out, just see what this is all about. Because my buddies would send me stuff that is like something hilarious from TikTok, and I
Right.
couldn't view it, right? And they'd
Right.
be like, "You got to get on TikTok," and they'd be
Yeah.
giving me a hard time. They're like, "Just make a free account. You don't have to post anything. That way you can at least see our videos."
Yeah.
So, so when I went to make a free account, it said you already have an account. So I was like, "Okay, do the lost password thing," and I
Yeah.
got in there, saw my one post, and it was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and then I started watching some stuff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, some of these things are hilarious in the
Oh,
feed."
absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
I
And
don't
and
know
I'm
why. Like the society has a stigma on TikTok, and I think it's one of the best social apps invented.
I would agree. I would agree. And then I know nothing about lives, right? So I'd be like watching, and then it would say tip to or tap to go into the live, and I'd be like, well, like what is this? So I tap, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I'm in there. I got to get out of there. It's like I'm like covering my camera and stuff, but I'm not in. I was just in the chat, right?
Oh,
So
that's
that
so
was
funny.
that was 2 months ago,
I
you know.
love it.
So
Miriam says Gen X rules TikTok. Gen
that's
X
right.
rules TikTok. So since you're talking about TikTok, let's talk about it. So, I guess you just said what prompted you to come back to TikTok was your friend sending you the funny videos, but now you took a leap from that to now going live yourself. So talk to me about that.
Right.
What's your purpose? What are you looking to do here on TikTok?
So I'll tell you what the catalyst for it was, because I had no intention of doing lives. um, somebody kept coming across my feed that was doing a live, and it was almost every morning at a certain time, and I would not go in, but I would listen, and I was like, oh, like this is good information. After about a week or two, I was like this is like trustworthy information. This guy's not like most other marketers, if you will.
Right.
He's not trying to pull a fast one. So then I started going in the room, and then I started participating and asking questions, and then he and a few other guys. He's a retired Air Force guy, almost 30 years, and they run an agency for people that go live, that want to go live. Right now, I had no intention of going live. I didn't want to go live. I just wanted to get some strategies on content, and I mean, these guys are fantastic, and the girls in there. I mean, some of them are just incredible as far as knowledge and helping and stuff.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So then I talked to the guy, and I said, well, how can I really build my account? And he said the fastest way to get followers is to go live. He said, and he's like, that's just the fastest way, unless you post something that goes viral. He goes, that's another really fast way to get relevant followers. He's like, stay away from all those other rooms that, yeah, that's right. Rides with Dad. is
Okay,
exactly right.
so it's so funny because
Her age-
Ruby, I don't know
Yeah,
if you know Ruby, guys make that
I don't.
connection. She is
I
awesome.
don't.
You gotta go check
Yeah.
her in the morning. She does live 7 days a week. And
Okay.
that's the agency that she's at,
And
right?
that's the one I'm with.
Oh, awesome. Look at that. Small
Yep.
world, right? Small world.
Yep. Right. Right. Out of all the people that could be on here, she's with the same agency. So,
Wow.
so they're just. I mean, they are 100%. I mean, trustworthy is the biggest thing for me. They got to be trustworthy, and their knowledge and everything is fantastic. Um, so then I was like, okay, well, like, how do I go live? So they kind of gave me the rundown, and so on Sunday, June 1st, I was like, I'm going to do my first live. So I did it, and it was good. And then Monday I did it again, and there was like quadruple the traffic. And
Wow.
then, so I haven't missed a night. I haven't missed
You
going
know,
live.
so you like I didn't know it was this recent. I mean, I
Yeah,
knew that it was recent, but we're talking
yeah.
about like less than 2 weeks
This is
ago.
10 days. 10 days I've gone live.
Elena invited me. I want to say you had at least I can't remember now 200 people. You had a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, it
incredible.
fluctuates, right? Yeah.
That is
But yeah, it was.
amazing.
It's interesting. It's. I find it interesting. Um, I think interacting with fans. Um,
Yeah,
I think this way. I think it's a very cool way to do it, and
yeah,
um, so I've really enjoyed it, and I think they have. And you know, the amount of ideas on the table right now is like unbelievable.
man.
Um, so we're just kind of testing things, and you know, right now, like people ask, well, what's the live schedule? And I'm like, well, I mean, I plan on going live every night, unless there's a conflict.
Yeah, I
You
was
know
going to
that.
ask you, is there a, because I'm sure that you're going to pick up everybody who's here is going to follow you. Is there a set time that you go live or is it more of just a whatever?
Yeah, it's usually 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so California time. Even though I'm in Arizona, we're
Okay.
Mountain Time, but and right now this part of year we're the same time as California. But if I say Mountain Time, people think it's an hour sooner. So I just say PST just so they know it's California time.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, please, 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 definitely, you're going to go live tonight, I'm assuming, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now, I see people trolling, and you handle it uh, very good. I mean, I saw it last night. So, what's the most surprising TikTok comment you've ever received? Is the question.
Oh, I was just laughing at Elena's comment.
Oh,
Story time
story
with
time.
Tony.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, listen. I want you talking as much as long as all the time that you have in the world here. Nope.
That's
I have
funny.
no other interviews after you. So.
We, we just started story time. We just started story time with Tony 2 nights ago. So we've done it for 2 nights, and the feedback has been very good, and it's amusing. It's funny. Yeah, it's so far so good. So as you can see, she's laughing. Um, so yeah, I knowing that even before I went on my first live, knowing okay, there's going to be trolls, there's going to be monkeys, there's going to be demons,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call them. The best in my decades of experience of dealing with people like that in the real world and or online is
Yeah.
literally ignore them.
Yeah.
If you give them no attention, they go
Right.
away because they want conflict, they want interaction.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get those ones that are kind of halfway in between. They're like, you don't know if it's a troll, and then you'll address it in a nice way, and then you can find out pretty quick if they're a troll or not, and then they get muted.
I saw that last night unfold. I can't remember obviously what it was, but what you were conversing, and then all of a sudden it turned like sideways, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
but you asked for one of your mods to mute that
yeah,
account.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw that happen. I'm like, oh my goodness.
yeah. It went
So
sideways for them. I found it amusing.
yeah, absolutely. No, your live last night was pumping. I mean, I've only been to your lives twice, and both times you've had over 100 people, which is amazing to me. Especially that you're just telling me that you've been on it for 11 days now. Not even
Yeah,
10. You haven't gone live today, so 10 days. That's incredible. Um,
yeah.
3 words your audience would use to describe your content. So, what is your content about? What do you just go there to ask? Because when I've seen you there, I've seen you just basically people. It's a kind of an interaction where they're asking you questions, I guess, about your
Right.
career. But do
Right.
you have an agenda, or is it just you just go live?
Um, I haven't like literally written down my agenda, but I've kind of like right now I'm going with, okay, well, my agenda is really my bio. So my bio talks about, God first. It talks about, former NFL alumni. It talks a little bit, just a little thing about photography called, just put in shaping light and sobriety. So, and I would say most of the stuff, it's mostly football and sobriety that we get comments on and people interacting. Interesting thing is a lot of the same people that are, look at Elena, the flex. Last night, these girls like online and they wanted me to flex my bicep. And I was like, I mean, that's, we did that, been there, done that. We don't need to do that. And then they
Did you
shamed me.
do it though, Tony?
What's that?
Did you do it?
I did.
So can I ask you to flex for me?
I can't do it 2 days in a row.
I'm sure the girls will be very
You know
happy.
what? If you want to see the flex, come to my live.
That's very epic, epic right there. Exactly.
So that, I think that describes. I think, like I would say right now, that describes what the live is about. I tell people they can, you can ask me about whatever. When I go, but right before I go live, I put sobriety, football, and story time. Right. If somebody asks me a question about, say photography specifically, I'll answer it. But really, people ask great questions. Some people, I mean, most of the people, I'd say 90% of the people ask good questions. A lot of them I would never think of asking, but it's interesting to get their perspective on things.
Absolutely. No, and I love it because it's like there's so many different facets of you, right?
Yeah.
So I may not know football, but
Right.
definitely I could probably want to identify more with the photography because I'm a graphic
Yeah.
artist. So that would fascinate me to listen to you talk
Awesome.
about that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that, and also the religion too, because I come from a religious background. So
Yeah.
you have so many facets. And so, how many followers do you have now? I don't even know. How many?
I think I'm just shy of 5,000.
That's awesome. That's
You know
awesome.
what's funny is, so I started the live 10 days ago. When I started, I was at just under 1,800.
Wow. Oh,
So it's
you're
been a
gonna,
while.
I'm sure that you're gonna be in the tens of thousands and so forth and so on. Very,
Keep our
very.
fingers crossed.
Oh, absolutely, you will. And I'm sure that there's going to be probably brand deals. I mean, this
Yeah.
app offers so many opportunities. I've seen
Yeah.
so many creative. I mean, obviously, it's few and far in between, but when they do get that catapult, there's brand
Yeah.
deals, amazing stuff that could
Yeah.
happen. You know.
Yeah, the options are like there's so many options. I mean, and obviously I haven't gone like I've gone through probably a tenth of them just trying to learn what the options are with, whether it's monetization or how to set up a subscription in your live or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And 'cause I want to also know the rhyme and the reason of why do we do it this way, stuff like that.
yeah. So do you
Kelly, you were
have?
talking
Thank you
about.
so much. Do you have subscribers in your channel? Do you currently are you set up?
Yeah, I put it up last night for the first time.
Okay.
I put it up like 4 or 5 days ago, and then somehow I messed something up, and then I went live for only subscribers, but I didn't have any subscribers. So there was people rolling in
Oh,
the room, and nobody could comment.
nobody
So
could
then
comment. Yeah.
I had to restart the live, but then I was like, okay, I'm not until I understand it. So one of our guys walked me through it, showed me everything. So I set up the subscription last night. We got 4 subscribers.
That is fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah.
And are you connected on Discord too? Because what I've noticed, a lot of content creators that they obviously correlate the two. If you subscribe to my channel, then you're gonna get access to
Yeah.
my Discord, and it's a little
So
bit more personal.
that will be like I'm connected on Discord with Rides with Dad, the agency.
Okay.
But level 2 or level 3 of subscription will probably have a Discord, like my own Discord with my
Okay.
subscription.
Got it. Oh, so you have different levels of subscription?
I've only got one level set up right now
Okay.
because of one of the 100 million plethora options of stuff we have that I'm trying to learn. That's why I only have one level of
Yeah.
subscription.
No, for sure, for sure. Elena
Yeah.
says that she's one of your subscribers. Look at that. You're one of his
Yes,
first
she
subscribers.
is. Thank you. Yes, she did
That's,
last night. Thank you, Elena. I
that's
appreciate
that's
you.
that's awesome.
Uh,
That's awesome.
that's
Um,
all.
Let's see. So, one creator that you would love to collaborate with and why?
Now here's like the answer. This will reveal how new I am to it. I don't even know. Like I don't even know what creator I would want to collaborate with. Like there's obviously ones that are just super famous and stuff, but I don't even know. I mean, um, there's a few people in our group, our agency group, that are fantastic. But one, it's like you also have to collaborate and be in the same solar system with relevance of topic, right? It doesn't have to be the exact topic, but it could be something similar.
Yeah.
And there's some people in our group that are just, I mean, they are incredible, but what they're talking about doesn't isn't relevant to any of the stuff that I have. They're great people. I get along with them great, and I go into their lives and support. But it's right now my answer would be like I have no idea. Any suggestions?
Oh, me, I'm as clueless as you. I mean, for you, I mean, like I said, there's so many avenues that you could take with this. I really don't know much of those bigger creators. Like I said, I've only started a year ago, and if I tell you how I started, I jumped on the Gen X trend. I told my husband, okay, I'm gonna jump on this bandwagon, a whole Gen X going
Yeah, yeah,
viral, but that's so far from the
yeah,
truth. If you punch these buttons, if you do this, if you jump up and down, you're gonna go viral.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Not true.
not
Not
true
true.
at all. Um, how do you keep content authentic without oversharing? Because I know that you delve into some really sensitive topics. Thank you guys so much for getting me to that gift goal. So how do you kind of if somebody asks you something really personal, how do you just put the brakes on it without oversharing? I guess.
So are you talking about content in the live?
Yeah, like when people, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
So
talk
if,
about the
if
live.
somebody asks
I
me
haven't even checked
something,
out your videos yet, so let's talk about the
yeah.
live. Yeah.
So content in the live is usually, one of the four things that I'd mentioned that's in my bio. And then when I do the little description in my description box for the live, I'll then tell them, like last night's was sobriety, football, and story time. Um, if somebody asks questions off topic, I'm totally fine with that. If they're asking malicious questions,
Yeah.
I will challenge them. I will challenge them. If it's so malicious, or just so it doesn't have to be even malicious, it just has to be so ignorant. Either I'll just mute them, or I'll have one of my mods mute them because they're wasting. I mean, my time is one thing, but they're wasting everybody's time and they're taking up space for everybody
That's what
that's
I heard you say. I love that because the way you express that is not only are you wasting my time, you're wasting
right.
the time of the people that are
Yeah,
in the chat. So
yeah,
I love that you
yeah.
said that last night. So these questions are rapid round questions. Does anybody here have any questions, guys? Now is the opportunity. We have them here. We have it right here. Um, these questions are a little funny. Birds or cactus tacos?
I would 20 years in Arizona now. I would go with the cactus tacos.
Cactus tacos. I've never had. How are the cactus tacos? Are they spicy?
Uh, there's different twists on all of them, but there's so much Hispanic population here
Oh,
that some of the hidden gems of restaurants. Oh my gosh!
nice.
I mean, you talk about incredible food.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I mean Mexican's probably in my top favorite foods.
That's awesome. Do you speak Spanish at all? A little bit?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, look, I think C is yes.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's do an analogy. You know as much Spanish as I know football. Is that fair? A fair statement? Because I don't know nothing about. I was
Right?
telling Elena yesterday. I'm like, Elena, what am I going to ask him? I don't know what to. I
Yeah.
told her, Elena, we were on the phone. Was it yesterday, Elena? I can't remember now. It's a blur. We were on the phone for 5 hours, and I was like,
Oh
okay,
my God.
what am I going to ask? Oh my god! First of all, I mean, thank you, Elena, for making this connection. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm forever going to be grateful for this. I told my husband too. I'm like, oh my god, guess what? Guess what? I was like, you have no idea. So,
That's hilarious. That is
um,
funny.
So that the second question is, oh my God, I didn't even see this question here. Steroid testing in the 90s, overrated, underrated, or perfectly rated?
It was steroid testing in college football was a joke. It was so bad. Steroid testing in NFL was, way, way, way stricter. So that's probably the most accurate answer I could give you.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see. If you would hashtag, if you were to use hashtags, what would be the hashtags you use that would sum up your philosophy right now? I guess your perspective of you know, life.
Of my TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
hmm, um, that's a good question.
I asked him a
um,
question that he's actually
I
thinking.
know,
Oh my goodness.
but that's the whole point. The whole point for me is don't look at the questions because I'll predetermine answers.
Yeah.
And instead, I mean, I glanced over all of them. I was like, yeah, those are all good questions. Um, I mean, you know, uh, I'd say faith, sobriety. We do recover. Overcoming adversity. I'm not too crazy about putting stuff like, quote unquote, motivational because it's like different things motivate different people. There could be a soccer mom that overcomes something. And to me, that's inspirational. Although 99% of people wouldn't think that, right? I'd be like, wow, like that woman overcame this huge burden of whatever her burden was. And
Right.
now she's successful and now she's sharing on how she did that. That's inspiring to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's powerful right there. Because like you said, everybody is motivated by because
Different
we're in
things, yeah.
different walks of life. So I absolutely agree with that. Um, so, what legacy do you want your fans to talk about 20 years from today? So, what is the future hold for you? What are your plans?
Oh, that's it. I did see that question. I should have thought longer about.
I'm so
I
sorry.
think I
Just,
would
just,
say,
I mean, this is obviously I'm not. We're not
yeah,
on TV. This is on
I
TikTok.
know.
We only have less than 20 people watching, so
Right.
this is comfortable. Just you and me talking.
Um, I would say for legacy, I would say that at the end of the day, or at the end of the life, um, it always comes back to God for me. Every day comes back. Like that's the fundamental part of the whole day for me. And I remind myself who's given me this gift today, and uh, who woke me up today. Um, Even you might find this amusing, but even when there's adversity in the day, um, I quietly thank God for it because I know that I will grow more from adversity than I grow from being comfortable. And I may not like it, I may not enjoy it, but I'm not going to shy away from it. And I will literally, internally ask for guidance and direction. What is the best thing here? What discernment do I have? The discernment from the Gospels in the last 5 years, I've learned so much that it's like one of the first things I go to if there's an adversity. Like, what is the correct thing to do here? Because
Yeah.
my ego wants to lash out and snap at that person verbally or however.
Right.
Um, but that's the old Tony, you know,
What
and so it's things
since
have
you
changed.
mentioned verses, what would be a verse that you go to that was one of your go tos?
Well, I mean, probably one of my favorite verses, but it's cliche too. Like a lot of people use it, and it's Proverbs 27:17 about
Hmm.
iron sharpens iron, and who you surround yourself with, I think, is crucial. Um,
Absolutely.
People, I mean, we're humans, even the people that we know that do good things will have bad motivations. I know that because
Yeah.
that's me sometimes, right? And it's like, wait, I try to do good in the world. I try to pack good things into the world. And then why do I feel envious or jealous of this person, and so it's like, well, wait a second, like where did that come from, right? And then I'm reminded, by the Gospels what I am. I'm a sinner, and
Powerful.
and that's why I'm human. I don't have the power for salvation by myself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Wow. No, that and yet this that is so true. That is so powerful. Adversity changes us in the most positive ways. Absolutely,
100%.
100.
100, well said.
Biggest life lesson sports taught you that photography reinforces. Do you correlate the two at all? Do you have any similarities?
I would say, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of similarities. I would say like consistency, and persevering through consistency, day after day after day after day after day, accumulates to a lot of time practicing whatever you're practicing, whether it's your faith, whether it's your relationship with Christ, whether it's photography, whether it's what lead step you're taking in football practice, how you're weightlifting, what your goal is, what do you want to look like, like what is my lifting more geared towards longevity, quality of life, and health, or is it being a meathead, right? Well, at one time for decades it was being a meathead, meaning big, strong, but that was the demand for my job. Now it's like I
Right.
still like muscle, but I'm more interested in quality of life living, and so, building muscle for longevity and quality of life, as one example. So
Right.
I mean, they cross over a lot. And I mean, I didn't just start shooting photography and was like just good, right?
Yeah.
It's like how much practice, and then you got to do the correct practice, because you can practice badly and continue to be worse. So
Yeah.
I would surround myself with photographers that were 3 or 4 tiers higher than me, because I wanted to learn how they did things. And
Right.
then the ones and when you find those, um, there's a lot of them that won't share their experience,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like fine, because that's not who I want to be around. And so when I go and I was very lucky to be surrounded by two photographers, totally different styles, and they're unbelievably, they would tell me everything that they knew. And I one day I asked the one guy, I said, like, doesn't that, like, do you do this with everybody? Doesn't that concern you? He's like, well, I do tell anybody that's interested. He goes, but I know 99% of them won't do it because it's a lot of work. And I was like, you know what? You're right. It is a lot of work, and most people won't do it. So
Right.
he's like, that's why I don't feel threatened by sharing my, not secrets, but just my techniques.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. Some people do gatekeep, and they obviously don't want other people. They're afraid that
Like,
now is competition.
they're threatened. Yeah.
Where can people? So do your photography? Is it? Do you sell the photography? Where can people find your? If you have merchandise, talk to me about anything that you're doing in terms of business. Like, are you using a photography to sell your
Um, uh,
photos?
I'm using photography more, shooting like a lot of commercial advertising stuff, and then shooting a lot of people. I shoot a lot of people, and I
Okay.
do a lot of compositing, where I'll take a picture of the person in studio and then blend it in with other images to make it look like a complete photograph. Which there are no limits to that.
That is
Um, and so my photography website is my full name, so it's TonyMandarich.com,
okay.
and that's what's in my bio. Now, by the end of the week, I think that link's going to change to a Linktree link, which will then give them options for 5, 6, 7, 8 different interesting things. Because I've been taking, kind of following what the trend questions are in my chat when I'm live,
Yes.
and a lot of people are asking about autographs and stuff like that. Where do I go? How do I do it? And once I get the link tree set up, maybe even today, but by the end of the week for sure, I can just say, go to the link in my bio. It's going to answer all your questions.
It's awesome. I have one, and like you said, it keeps everything together. It has my website, has everything that's about me. So I think, yeah, the link tree it's I think it's like $10 a month. It's not even that expensive.
Yeah, and I think there's even a free version for people
Oh,
that
is
don't
it?
want to pay. Yeah, there's some limits to it versus the paid,
Yeah,
but it still will give you multiple links.
So for the current moment, just so I know, like in the event that somebody's interested in finding out more about your business
Yeah.
and stuff, for the current moment, if they click on your bio, you have a website there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Anybody have any questions? Since I got to the last question, guys, this is the last question, and obviously we are, of course, I'm respectful of your time. So my interviews are usually an hour long, and we are literally only 9 minutes away to the hour. So, guys, I have one last question for him, and if you guys want, this is the opportunity. So finish this sentence, Tony. Success feels like.
Nothing what I thought it would feel like. My perception of what success felt like was nothing like what it actually felt like. That was like probably one of the biggest things that, because when I had success, whatever it was in, I would look like, and and I'm talking about something that took a long time to achieve, say months or years. I would look back and be like, I mean, I never thought I would have to go through all of this to get here. I thought it was going to be different. And then how I feel when I'm here is different. I'm grateful, but
Yeah.
the road to get here was way different than I thought. And, we all prepare. Yeah, of course there's going to be speed bumps and adversities to be successful at anything.
Yeah.
But then it's like, wow, I never thought it'd be like that kind of a speed bump or this. I never thought we'd have a problem with this, or I never thought that this would be this successful this fast. So it's never the way I perceive it, and but I much more enjoy the experience of the road to getting there than I do getting there.
Right, right, right. Definitely the journey to get to that destination. You got to stop and smell the roses, like they say.
Yeah.
The nickname, oh, Elena, the nickname of the Incredible Bulk came from
Yeah.
where? The Incredible
Well,
Bulk.
well
That's funny.
that came. I mean, that was put on Sports Illustrated. That
Yeah,
ended up being that very famous issue.
yeah.
So nobody ever called me that ever. So
I
Sports
was gonna ask
Illustrated,
you, did they still call you that, or did they never called you that? This was just for the
not
cover.
not in real life.
Oh wow, that's it.
But people in the chat, like some of them, like will stumble into the live, and they'll be like, "No way!" Like the Incredible Bulk, and I'm like, "Yeah." So
Wow.
it's funny. It's I think that's one of those things that just make it fun. People, and then people have mistaken me for another football player, who's a very famous football player, and I'm a fan of this football player. He's our same generation, everything, but it's just hilarious because I'm like, there was some trolls even giving me a hard time because they thought I was somebody else. So they were trolling on that other person in my live, thinking that I was that person, which made it even funnier because
Oh
somebody in
wow.
our somebody in our chat said, "Look, if you're going to troll somebody, at least troll the right person."
Hilarious. Oh my
We were
goodness.
dying laughing.
You're gonna troll the right person. That's incredible. Oh, let me just say, now that you mentioned that, my husband was in disbelief. He didn't think that you were gonna accept an interview for me. He's like, "Are you sure it's really?"
Oh,
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure it's really him. I mean, who else is he gonna be?"
yeah.
Wait till I show him. So let's see. No question, rather a comment. Tony is an amazing photographer and great guy. Coming from Chris.
Oh, yeah, I know Chris. I never met Chris, but I know Chris. I think he's out in, I think he's in New York, state of New York.
Okay.
Great guy. Great guy. I've been communicating with him for the last probably 4 years.
You talked about, I think, yesterday about some autographs. Are you planning to do a tour or something like that? Or
No,
okay,
no. If I get invited by promoters to go to like a memorabilia, say, event,
right.
I usually go. And but then to my point, what we were talking earlier, so many people in the live have talked about, how do I get this autograph or helmet or jersey or this or that football cards. So that's what I'm setting up in my link tree as we
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. That I
And
mean, you definitely that I think that's gonna be huge for you, Tony. I really think because
you
I mean, just imagine the way I see it is you are on this platform, now more right 10
yeah,
days
yeah,
ago,
yeah,
and you have in your life. I mean, over 100, 200 people watching you.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine once you have 6 months, a year in, you're gonna forget.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll take it. There'll be mistakes made, and there'll be words said that probably shouldn't be said, by TikTok rules. But I'm learning every day because I do say certain things that I think are innocent, but then I get reminded by the agency, hey, be careful of this. Sometimes use this
Yeah,
to talk about that.
it's
So those are
totally
like those are
different language. Yeah, this platform is very sensitive.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because of what you say and even your gestures. Because I've done a gesture that was they considered obviously suicidal.
really,
It took me down for
wow,
a week. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
wow,
So just be careful with the gestures because the AI I think even picks up on the gestures that are.
right, 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 right,
I think somebody else said something here real quick. Joshua says
right.
you are 100% an inspiration. Let's see. Any other questions,
Joshua is
guys?
one of my Joshua is one of my buddies from North Carolina that
Nice.
we've been gaming on Xbox since 2014, and I've never met him in person.
Wait
I've
a
never met, yeah,
minute. What do you play on Xbox? I didn't even know you were a gamer.
mostly Destiny 2. I do play some Call of Duty, but not much Call of Duty. I mean it can be so toxic at times.
Yeah.
Destiny mostly, and I'll tell you what, Josh has been man. I'll tell you that man's got patience with me because I have such a. If I have a kryptonite, it's jumping puzzles with my character. Oh my god, there's been many a time they've waited 15 minutes for me to finally not fall off the cliff and then end up on the other side.
Oh my God, hold on. That's funny. Oh my God. Um, I guess, and nobody has any questions, any final thoughts. And before I end it, I definitely want to say I am so thankful that you accepted. I mean, I'm a total stranger, right? So I didn't know who was going to be on the other side, right?
Right,
So the
right.
fact that you trusted Elena, and I'm just honored, to be honest.
No, it's my pleasure. I didn't have it, like I said, I trust Elena. I've never met Elena, but I've interacted enough to trust her. And then she had suggested it or asked, and I said, "Well, look, I'm going by her trust, and it's a legit live, and your account is good, and I like what you talk about." So yeah, I said, "Yeah, let's do it." I mean, hopefully it helps somebody, and hopefully people learn more about your live and my live.
Absolutely. I am hoping that everybody here, I please give Tony a follow. He's so down to earth. Definitely check out his lives. He goes live every night. So 7 days a week, they're going to find you, right? Between 6
Yeah,
and 7
yeah.
p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah. Saturdays might Saturdays were like I only been you bet Elena. I've only done like one Saturday, and I did it at night, and it was slow. So
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if that's a trend or not. I mean I should do
Yeah.
it for a month to find out if it's a trend. If it's a trend, I might go live earlier on Saturdays, but for right now it'll always be 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. PST.
Right. Okay. I mean that's good. I mean I think and I mean also you don't want to burn out. You don't
Yeah,
give yourself a day.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
a lot of people do this daily because they enjoy it. They
yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
the platform and like I said, this is I've made a lot of great connections here. A lot of genuine people here. There are some people obviously that are not. There are
Yeah.
trolls. But other than that, for the most part, it's a great community, and it keeps growing because I
Yeah.
guarantee you, after this live, there's going to be people that probably followed me, the people that follow you, and this is how the word spreads, So,
Hopefully,
well,
questions were
we
answered.
are
Hopefully.
literally 1 hour. I did it, guys.
Yes, you did.
Join Tony. Elena says, join Tony tonight for story time and flex. Oh my God. Yes. So you did say, and I have it recorded here, that
Yeah,
you are
no
going to
promotion.
flex for us tonight, right? Ladies and
Um,
gentlemen.
if we get, I'll tell you what. If we get to 100K in 1 hour, I will.
Okay, all right. You heard it, Elena. Come on, we gotta take our tapping fingers. And Elena is one of these people that could tap. Man, she could be a competitive tapper. She could get you to 100K on her own.
Join Tony for story time and flex night.
Awesome, awesome, awesome,
Oh my
Elena.
God.
Thank you, Elena. I for real, for the bottom of my heart, I owe you big time, Elena. Thank you so much, Tony. You are
My pleasure.
awesome. And then I definitely will see you tonight, guys. And
My
make sure
pleasure.
you give them a follow and check them out tonight. May God
Have a
bless
great.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. God bless you. Have a great day.
You too. Let's see if I could now. Where do I get off? There it is. Okay.